Why would you change anything when things are going great? Why would you, man? Just keep on doing the same thing. November, December was unbelievable for me. Deadlift started flying. I started feeling like an absolute animal. Things started feeling really well. And then eventually I ran out of steam. I tried to push a little bit further. Took a deload. Came back from a deload in January. And I felt freaking a lot weaker. Coming out of that deload, I started kind of doing the same thing that I was doing before. And then I started feeling a little bit different. It started feeling a little bit tight. The groin did. A little bit more tight. And then eventually the pain started. Ignored it for a few sessions. And then eventually it started really derailing me. Really bothering me. And then it's been like 6 weeks, a month and a half. More, maybe even 2 months now. And I'm still kind of spinning my tires in the mud trying to address this groin pain. What I'm doing here is hamstring curls. And that is a feather of a weight at the end of it. But let me explain. When you do this exercise, it is very easy to engage the lower back. I could put 220s on here and just freaking crank that lower back and use the anterior pelvic tilt to get the weight up. But if you try and really focus on completely eliminating any sort of drive from the pelvic region and just using the hamstrings, all of a sudden you have zero strength. I cannot remember the last time that I used this exercise or just specific hamstring work. I've done good mornings. You guys have seen me do RDLs. You've seen all sorts of stuff. Rows, that's, a lower posterior chain as well. But fully isolating the hamstrings and trying to make everything else absent from the engagement, I've not done that in a long while. But the reason why I started doing it today is after some brainstorming, thinking about things, and it kind of occurred to me, I remember a time, and I went back into the book and I read about this time, when I was doing high rep leg curls, and I was experiencing an adductor pump. I think it's the longest, the really long adductor. So I thought, so you don't actually need to train the adductors in a adduction. You can train them in knee flexion, hamstring curls, right? Because we know the adductors do a lot of stuff, right? And so I started messing around with that. I did about 45 minutes of messing around with the setup, and you saw me elevate the bench and twist it this way, that way. And what I was trying to make is a curve in the bench so my torso is not completely flat, so there is like a little bend in the hips. So I fully isolate the hamstrings and completely remove that anterior pelvic tilt. And so I did that. I ended up doing 8 sets of 30 with very little weight. Had a nice little kind of engagement with the hamstrings. And I say hamstrings, but really there's a lot more other stuff going on. I think some of the adductors are happy in that movement. And so when I went back to squats, started feeling really nice. That adductor started feeling warmer than usual. So going into squats as a number one exercise is always crappy for those of us that are not naturally built for squatting. If you throw hamstring curls into it beforehand, for some reason it feels great. And I've heard so many bodybuilders talk about this. Do a bit of hamstring curls, do hamstrings before squats, and everything will feel better. And I feel like it's not so the hamstrings that are really the changing thing here. It's the adductors that work when we are training hamstrings in some of these machines, some of these exercises. Hell, even hip extension exercises like good mornings and GHD back raises, there's a lot of adductors. This is kind of why good mornings felt really good for me. And this is kind of a progression of that thought. Sure, I can do good mornings again. Now I'm kind of sore, lower back, all that stuff. So why don't I isolate, remove the back completely from the mix, and just hit more hamstring and adductor complex. And so that's kind of how I came around with the idea, man. Today was a freaking bench press day. And I started doing some tricep extensions, throwing some ideas there as well. Some thought process happening there as well. But like I just couldn't resist warming up my hamstrings, or let's say adductors. And so this whole few months that I've kind of been trying to fight this groin pain kind of reminded me of the previous struggles that I had. So November, December, fantastic. And there's the new roadblock. Congratulations. You've now been promoted to the next level. This is this level's boss. Fight this boss, the groin pain. And I'm sure once I, iron all this stuff out, I go back to my smashing weights, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I hit 290, 295 on the deadlift. I'm sure there's going to be something else I have to address. And so it's sort of like, I don't change things until I must. And it's usually like pain, discomfort, something feels off, something feels right, doesn't feel right. And then I have to kind of basically on the fly kind of work things out. And that's kind of been the training experience for me. I wish, and I remember during the moments in December, I hit 270, 275, 280, and I'm thinking to myself, please God, just make it keep going. I just never want to let this period go. But deep down in my soul, I was like, yeah, this is not going to last. I'm working so freaking hard right now, doing these rows, doing these leg presses. I'm just so spent after each of these sessions. A few of them, I was like nauseated on the brink of vomiting. And I kept thinking to myself, no, I'll just keep pushing. And then eventually I ran out of steam. And I had to take that deload because I started, missing some of these heavier deadlifts. And I thought, okay, the body needs a break. And then I took that deload and I have no idea what happened on that bloody deload. But I came out of that deload, tried to go back to my normal volume, a normal stance of squatting. Oh my God. It's like my adductors forgot how to do ATG squats. So then I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I've done my wide stance squats. All of a sudden I'm bloody paying for it. So it was like someone's punishing me for doing the wide stance squats. Why isn't this transferring? Why am I not stronger in the bloody adductors? I end up being weaker in the adductors. And so it's taken me a damn good few months to work out what's going on. And I think the missing piece here could be, sure, whatever. Good mornings are fantastic, GHD back raises, but I think something that I could warm up every day with very little fatigue cost is, that thing that I've just set up, the leg curl. I could do that. I could do good mornings, just something before squats to get those adductors a little bit, turned on. So the squatting is okay. So maybe in that whole period of November, December, I did everything amazing. I addressed whatever the plateau, whatever the rate limiting step was then, but now the rate limiting step is the groin. The groin is kind of being left behind for whatever reason. And so I think doing knee flexion, doing hip extension, hitting the hamstrings from both ends, the hip and the knee level, might address the adductors as well, because the adductors, they have a play. They help the hamstrings work. They help the quads work. They do their own work, which is adduction. It's a very pivotal muscle group, and you can't just think of it in a singular aspect. Think of it as a collective. They have multiple different roles, these adductors, and you can train them in multiple different ways. And when you find something really cheap like that, man, it could be a nice little workaround, man. It could be why that dealer screwed me over, because I was just having lagging adductors. Could be. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.